Good morning. How is everyone? My name is Rod Brown, and you're on the Lead or Lose call today. And we're talking about something called focus today. This call is sponsored by ShareNote.com, which is an electronic health record system specifically for the behavioral healthcare industry. Again, thank you for joining the call. And today we're going to talk about something that's crucial for leadership, and that's focus. And I'm coming from a different perspective than I have in the past when I talked about focus, because it's easy to focus in the good times, I think. And when I say focus, I mean to have clarity, to be light at the end of the tunnel, but be laser light and not like a flashlight. And when we say focus, we mean to, you put your headlights on a particular goal, a particular objective or vision, and you narrow that focus down to that laser light so that you can burn through steel. You just are focused and you're dedicated to seeing a particular task or a goal or vision come to pass, and you don't let anything jar you. You don't let anything distract you, and you are extraordinarily focused on achieving your goals and your objectives. As a leader, that focus is critical, and we want to have our followers be just as focused as we are as leaders. But what happens sometimes is storms come about. Okay, so and metaphorically, we'll use tornadoes and we'll use hurricanes. And when the storms come, the same focus that we had when we didn't have storms, we still need, because those objectives and our goals and our visions, they don't go away. They don't dissipate. If a storm decides to join us, no, they don't. We still have to be able to focus through the storm. We still need to be able to focus through the rough times or focus through the tough times. So that's what I want to spend some time talking about this morning. And if you're on the live call, you are a boss because you got up early in the morning. So if I look at the definition of the word focus, and I just want to pick a particular verb tense of this definition. One says to adapt to the prevailing level of light and become able to see clearly. So adapt to the prevailing level of light and become able to see clearly. And I'm talking about, again, as leaders, maintaining focus through a storm, because oftentimes the followers who don't have your abilities, who don't have the skills that you have as a leader, they lose focus. So not only do we as leaders have to remain focused, but we have to make sure that our followers remain focused. And just some characteristics about what you may be dealing with going through a storm as it relates to you staying focused. One of the characteristics is and if we look at, focusing a camera, I have I got a real camera not too long ago, and it's a real camera. It's not a point and shoot. So sometimes I have to focus the camera myself. And what I realize is that sometimes, first of all, my target may be blurry, but if I turn the lens to the right, then it's gonna get clearer. But I sometimes may go too far to the right, so then I have to turn back to the left. So I'm saying that to say that it's okay if your target is blurry while you're going through the storm. So that's okay. That's a natural phenomenon. But as long as you are making attempts to adjust your level of sight so that you can remain focused, that's okay as well. So you have to keep moving towards gaining focus, even though the storm is raging around you, even though you have employees that are leaving you or people that are jumping off the ship on your team. When you're going through tough times, you may have lost your biggest client. And again, for anybody, that could be a tough time. And then you have folks going, they're questioning the vision, they're questioning whether or not they're on the right ship. So it's important to understand that it's going to be blurry, but as long as you are doing what you can to make adjustments, and in your adjustment period, you may go too far to the right or you may go too far to the left, but still, you're still adjusting while you're going through this storm. Also, when it comes to focus, what you see is important. I was recently in a historic town in North Carolina. I was in Asheville, North Carolina. And I was in Asheville, North Carolina. I met a historian who was telling me things about a particular building that I was in, and the building is the YMI, and it's a building that was used to house people who helped build the Biltmore House. It housed African Americans. The same architects that designed the Biltmore House designed this building that housed, again, the majority African Americans at that time. The building was an incredible building, and then it went on to, because of the facility and the things that were in the facility, it became the African American version of the YMCA, and thus it's the YMI in Asheville. So check it out if you ever go to Asheville, North Carolina. So I'm talking to this historian, and he said something so profound to me. And he was talking to me about the city, and if I spend time in the city, and if I want to get an appreciation of the city, and if I want to have a better understanding of the architecture of the city and just the history of that city, he told me something that was very, very profound. He told me to, if I want to get a better appreciation of Asheville, to tilt my head 10% while I was walking around the city. Tilt my head 10%. And what he was telling me was to tilt my head 10% so that I could see different architecture, so I could see the craftsmanship of those way, way, way back in the day that actually built that city. And I would get a different appreciation of Asheville if I just tilted my head 10% to look up. Don't just look in my line of sight, but to tilt my head 10%, look up, and I would see a total different Asheville. I think that's so profound, particularly for leaders. And I'm going to suggest to you that you tilt your head 10% in leadership. And what that means is when you see the tornado coming or you see the hurricane coming, tilt your head 10% to get a different perspective, to look at that situation differently. That's easier said than done, especially in a storm. So I was thinking about other ways that you can get a different perspective, and probably the best way to get a different perspective of the storm so that you can remain focused is to ask those around you, what do they see? Ask people that are around you that you trust, that you see as a future leader, or that you see that has, strong leadership qualities. Ask them, what do they see? What do you see when this tornado is coming at us, this hurricane is coming at us? What do you see? And you might get different answers. Someone may say they see A, B, C, D. Someone else may say they see X, Y, Z. And, of course, you see L, M, N, O, P. But all of those perspectives will help you make better decisions while going through the storm. When you're going through a storm and you have to maintain focus as a leader, you have to keep in mind that the priorities don't change. You have a core set of priorities for your organization. You have a core set of priorities for your team. Those priorities don't change. There's an old saying that goes, pressure will bust a steel pipe. You don't want pressure of challenging times to force you to change your priorities, because as a leader, you establish priorities that will get you to your vision. And those priorities, they don't change. Those priorities are very important for you to get to where you need to be relative to your overall vision. So they don't change. It will just be more difficult for you to get to those priorities. And I'm saying that to say, don't flip the apple cart and say, you know what, it's hard right now, so we're not going to do this. No, the priorities are the same. So you have to do everything in your power to still focus on those priorities. I want to give you 3 things that will help you get through the storm. 3 things that you have to do to help you get through the storm and maintain focus. Okay? First thing is you have to stand. You can't fear the storm, right? Fear is important in terms of being a warning sign for us. So that emotion is okay. It's okay to be fearful. And I'm reminded of the kid standing on the side of the pool and the dad standing in the pool telling the kid to jump in. Come on, son, jump. And the kid's going, oh, no, 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 no. And then at some point in time, the kid jumps. And it may take a lot of coaxing, but that kid will eventually jump. And when the kid jumps, the kid didn't get rid of his fear first. No, he gained courage. So you have to stand when you're going through a storm, when you're going through a difficult time, and you need to maintain focus. So you have to stand and you have to gain courage. Do it afraid, because when that kid jumps in, he's still afraid. So fear is there, but that fear didn't paralyze him. So fear should not paralyze you. You have to gain courage, and all courage is overcoming that fear and still doing what you were going to do anyway, or still doing what you need to do in spite of the fear. So the first thing you have to do is stand. The next thing you have to do is continue to prioritize what's really important. Those things, they don't stop being important. They don't stop being important. So prioritize. Now, you may shift your focus on different priorities during that time period, but you're still going to do what? You're still going to focus on the priorities that you know that are necessary to help you bring that vision to pass. And the third thing you're going to do is you're going to guide your followers through the storm, right? Don't expect them to have the resolve that you have. Don't expect that. Don't expect them to be as brave as you. Don't expect them to be as thoughtful as you. Don't expect them to be as courageous as you are. So you're going to have to basically become the GPS for your team and tell them to turn right, tell them to turn left, warn them of flying debris during the storm. You're going to have to be their eyes. You're going to have to be their ears, and you're going to have to say those things with resolve. So make sure that you guide your followers. Don't leave them stranded. Don't leave them hanging, because you're going to have to trust them. You're going to have to trust their viewpoint. You're going to have to trust their perspective on things. So it's going to be important that you become that GPS for them. Also, lastly, you must have a winning attitude in spite of the storm, in spite of the tornado, in spite of the hurricane. You have to have a winning attitude. And in having that winning attitude, your resolve has to be that of positivity. You can't be the person going, woe is me, look at this storm, it's going to take us out. No, you have to have an attitude that you're going to win, period. You have to be responsible in that. So in your leadership during that time, you have to be very responsible. You have to have an attitude that losing is completely unacceptable. The one thing that you need to plug in and employ more than anything while going through a storm and remaining focused going through that storm is passion, because that's one of the purposes of passion. Passion will get us through those dark times. Passion will keep us going when everything around us says that we need to stop. So employ passion. Employ creativity. You have to be creative when you're going through a storm, because the things that, got you up to that point before the storm may not get you through. So you have to be willing to be creative. Quitting is unthinkable at this juncture, and you need to spread that message to those that are following you like never before to help you maintain focus through the storm, and be committed. Don't waver. Show commitment, show dedication to getting through the storm, show dedication to winning, show dedication to your leaders, to your followers, that we are going to make it through this storm. We are going to make it through this hurricane. And also constantly preach that victory is inevitable, going through the storm and maintaining focus through that storm. Time flies when you're having fun. Thank you so much for joining us. Please reach out to us on Twitter. Use the hashtag LeaderLose. You can tweet me at Roderick L. Brown. That's RODERICK LBROWN. We send you blessings. Have an incredible day.